Everybody, thank you for being a part of the Compliance with Kudzai channel. Whether you found me as a recommendation or you searched for me, you're here now, and I appreciate that. For all the new subscribers, welcome. Welcome to Compliance with Kudzai. So glad to have you here. And I hope you stay. And I hope you enjoy everything that we have planned, or I have planned for the channel going forward. And for all of you subscribers who've been here with me from like way back, like you've been part of Compliance with Kudzai, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for the continued support. And if you're new and you just came across this video and you're like, what's this about? If you enjoy it, press that subscribe button, the like button, tell a friend, hey, we have this goal. I have this goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So support me, please. Thank you. But without further ado, let us jump into what today's topic is going to be. And I hope you guys are really appreciating the fact that I haven't missed too much time in between videos this time around. So yay. But yeah, today's video is, why is compliance testing important? Okay, you may have watched my earlier video where I said the distinction between, and where I explained the distinction between compliance monitoring and compliance testing. And if you haven't watched that video, be sure to watch the video. I'm going to put a link up so that you can see it and click on it and watch that video. Very important for you to understand what that distinction is. And then come back to this video and watch it, and then it's going to be a lot more illuminating for you, okay? But compliance testing is really, really important. Some people say they're compliance monitoring specialists. Some people call themselves compliance testing officers. Whatever the case is, your role matters. Your role is significant. And for those people who are interested, aspiring to, dabbling in compliance monitoring, today I want to shed a little bit more light on why that role is actually super duper critical within the compliance framework, and why it's an exciting thing for you to pursue and become a compliance monitoring specialist or a compliance testing specialist, whatever they call it in your organization or jurisdiction. This is what they're talking about. Okay, so in compliance, we are managing the risk of non-compliance with laws and regulations that apply to our business as a result of the activities that we're engaging in, whether it's banking, whether it's insurance, whether it's FMCG, whatever laws and regulations apply to your space. As a compliance officer, you have to be able to identify the risks that will arise if we don't comply with certain requirements, and then advise the business to put in place controls to manage non-compliance with those laws and requirements. So that's what the job entails, right? So now that you've done that, we've identified our risks, we know what we have, we need to put in place a control environment. And when I say we, I mean the first line of defense, who are actually the operators of the control environment, your operations guys, your sales guys, your client services guys, everybody on the ground. They are the ones that put in place and operate the controls on a day-to-day basis. We advise the business as to what those controls should look like and what those controls need to be achieving. So as a compliance testing officer, or whatever title we'll use that for today. As a compliance testing officer, the job is not done when the controls have been put in place and they're like, do these 5 things to manage your risks. You now then, from time to time, need to go back and check, are people adhering and actually operating consistently and putting those controls in place as part of how they are doing business and conducting themselves, 1. And 2, are the controls actually still adequate and effective in terms of what is happening between when we put the controls in place and 6 months, a year, whatever the timeline might be. Because we all know things change. The operating environment may change. We now are talking all things technology, all things artificial intelligence and whatnot, right? So if your control environment was put in place when things were still very manual, you might need to come back and have a look at it and say, maybe we need to be more automated to make sure we're keeping up with the times. Maybe the laws and regulations have changed and they're more stringent than they were at the time the control was put in place. Have we now looked at it and said, how are we complying and making sure our controlled environment reflects the new laws and requirements? Or criminals themselves are using way more sophisticated means to try and game the system. And we need to be responsive to that and say, okay, what is happening in that environment? How can we do something differently to address it and meet the criminals and be able to defeat them at their own game kind of situation? So it's all about a control environment that has to be responsive. So when you are going in and doing compliance testing, your job is to say, one, are people adhering to the processes and controls and procedures and everything that we said they need to do to make sure we are managing risk? And then two, are those controls that we put in place actually adequate and effective? Do they still work? Are they fit for purpose given what the operating environment, regulatory environment might be looking at now versus when we put the control in place? So it's a really key role, because at the end of the day, the compliance testing team, the compliance testing officer, is the person that's going to be able to give us that assurance as to the health status of the compliance management system, as to whether the control environment is actually still robust enough to effectively manage risk. Because the last thing that we want to happen is a risk to materialize and we say, oh, we thought we had controls, but those controls were outdated, useless, ineffective, and nobody knew anything about it. So it's our job as the compliance testing team or the compliance officer who's conducting a compliance test to do a robust compliance test that makes sure we're looking deeply into issues, analyzing what is the root cause of what I've identified, what is the trend around what I've identified, what are the recommendations I'm giving to the business to say, this is what I found in terms of the ineffectiveness in this space and this control or whatnot, and this is my recommendation in terms of how it needs to be fixed by the business to shore up those controls and make them a lot stronger and a lot more robust. So if you're going to be someone who's doing that in their day-to-day job, you need to be the type of person who can figure out things, be able to communicate where the deficiencies lie, and then assist and work with the business to make sure that they are remediating those and implementing what needs to be implemented to have a strong control environment. Key point, it is not a witch hunt. You are not going in and saying, oh, I'm going to do a compliance test and I'm going to find everything that you're doing wrong and we're going to just have a, throw mud at the business and, tell them, we told you. That is not what you're doing. As a compliance tester, you are finding gaps so that you can close the gaps with the business. It's not about you did this wrong, you did this wrong. It's like, how can we work together? These are the findings that I have. And I think for you to be able to operate in a way where your risks are managed and you're not going to have massive issues potentially in the future, you need to put in place more people, you need more skills, you need more technology, whatever your recommendation is for those controls to be a lot more stronger. And then hold them accountable to the action plans that they've agreed to. So again, as I always say, compliance is not for the wallflower. You need to be able to stand there and stand by your findings, not be forced to water them down in any way, shape, or form, and speak the truth, but in a way where the business believes that, okay, she's here, he's here to help us to fix the issues that they've identified, as opposed to, crucify us at the cross kind of thing. So yes, like I said, compliance testing is a significant and an important part of any compliance program. It helps to identify control weaknesses so that remediation plans can be put in place by the business, and then we don't have non-compliance issues. And if there are, maybe it's a small non-compliance issue or it's minimized because the controls are robust and strong and doing exactly what they were designed to do. So super important job. And I hope anybody who's aspiring to do compliance testing, really takes the time to understand the significance of their role, how it kind of comes out of the risk identification process in terms of how you prioritize what you're going to test. That's a conversation for another day. And you know, the whole process, your role is important. I think it's fun. You get to work closely with the business and really understand what are the nuts and bolts of the operations. So it's a fantastic place to be if you really want to understand the business that you're operating in, because you're going into it to test the controlled environment and understand the processes. So amazing place for learning if that's what you want to do. But take it seriously and do it right so that you can add the value that is required in terms of letting the people know this is what's good, this is what's not good, this is the compliance health status of your management system. This is how we need to fix it. Okay. Oh, I enjoy talking about testing. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to go on and on because I know, you have to get back to your day job. But if you are interested in compliance testing and you're not quite sure, what's the best way to go about it, you should check out the KC compliance templates. We have a compliance working testing sheet template, and we have a compliance reporting testing sheet report template, compliance report template, the one that you use to then report your findings. Yes, that one. We have those on our website available at the online store. So grab yours. We've made sure that it incorporates best practice and all of that and covers everything that you need to be thinking about with the guidance notes as well. So you're going to love it. But with that said, I am going to call it a day today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate you. And until next time, toodles.